Did Derek give you the okay to bust out the ruler on his kids?
Wow, we would have never believed this. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on Google. Go out there and listen to us. So we're excited about it. We're glad you're excited about it too. Hey, lunch break. So glad you joined in. We've got guests coming in from Tennessee. I have my son-in-law, Danny Jimenez. We got my good friend, Brandon Jones. It's hard to say that because Brandon and I go way back to his freshman year in high school, to the 4th of July booth that was hotter than blazes, where Brandon was doing snow cones with Danny's wife, Tessa, and my daughter, Taylor. Right. Yeah, they've all, Tessa and Taylor are consultants on our show. I'm sitting here with my friend, Mike Harvey.
Yep.
Yeah, and so we're excited. Brandon, you're here.
I love having two guests that are calling in remote. It's
I
cool.
do.
And I love that Danny's here, so yeah.
Yeah, Danny always makes the show brighter and more controversial.
He does. So. I just wish he was wearing his cowboy hat tonight.
Oh, yeah. That's the source.
Right. Where's it at? Come on, man.
My Cowboys let me down yesterday. So anything Cowboys, whether it's the star, whether it's an actual cowboy hat, it's a no-go for right now.
But let me ask you a question. Did they let you down, but did they surprise you? Were you expecting a different outcome?
Yes.
Really?
My Barstool.
Does he sound delusional, Brandon?
Gambling account. It says otherwise. I bet on the Cowboys. I did believe they were going to win. So yeah.
Well, I told Tiffany, she goes, "Why is Danny down?" I go, "He bet on the Cowboys."
Yeah, that sounds like delusion to me.
But he's got a new lizard, so
there we go.
I did.
That's a bonus. So you know what I noticed, Danny and Brandon, is that one of my daughter's tennis acquaintances was a referee. He was the white hat last night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. She's knows Bill very well, and I was hoping that his refereeing would be spot on, and there was a lot of interesting fouls. So
yeah. Danny would say it wasn't, but Cowboy fan.
But the cool thing about Brandon played a lot of football in his life and has a very famous best friend, and Danny may get into that coming up. So right on.
A lot of football, a lot of hits taken to the head. So if I forget something, you guys know why.
Yeah, that's okay. So Danny, you just let's jump into Brandon's story.
Let me just go ahead and say that Brandon is a good friend of mine. Although I met him when I was a freshman, and he was 2 years older than me. He was that guy. If you guys ever seen Friday Night Lights, I was the starting quarterback that got hurt. Brandon tried to fill my shoes. So
I don't think that's how it went. I
didn't even play quarterback, so no, it doesn't make any sense. But no, seriously though, he was a junior when I was a freshman, and just always been a great guy, always been, the hardest working guy that I've seen, and was a great role model for any young player coming up. And Brandon, so we're just gonna go ahead and start there, man. You have a crazy journey and a very cool story. And so let's start there, man. Start at high school and work your way up, man.
Yeah. So back to when we met, I just remember we had an early morning practice, and I remember this kid was rolling around the field because he was in trouble for being late. And I'm like, the ground's wet. I'm like, this is miserable. Who is this guy? And lo and behold, it's Danny rolling around the field for being late. But I'm pretty sure you remember that one.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, man. So high school was a pivotal time in my life. Was able to go to Bakersfield Christian High School where we met. And it was just a game changer for me, man. Being around an atmosphere like that of just believers and seeing people live out the gospel right way was something I hadn't seen before. Although I've been to church, it was something about being around it every single day that was just changed everything. I got to play football. We obviously did pretty well. That was fun.
Yes,
and I
sir.
thought that was why I went there. I was like, oh, sick. We're going to be good at football, and that's going to be life, going to play college and so on and so forth. But what I got there was so much more important. That's where I received Jesus the first time, truthfully, where I met my wife. So that's pretty cool. Now we have a daughter and then one more on the way.
Oh, wow.
That'll be here at
Congratulations.
any moment. So if I get a call during the middle of this, that's why. But yeah, man, it's such a good time. Just lifelong memories, lifelong friends being made, and really kind of forced me into what I'm doing now. And I didn't even know I wanted to be a principal at a school or anything with education. But I just know how pivotal that time was for me in high school. And I knew that if I could replicate that, what we had at BCHS, and give that to kids who are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and start them off at an early age, I know I would have been better for it. So I'm super glad to be doing it.
I love that.
That's awesome, man. And
Yeah, man.
I'll go back to what you said about BCHS. And man, I wish I could roll the clip. But there's a commercial. Brandon Jones. there's a commercial. Brandon Jones. Go out there and find it, fellas. We are BCHS, and that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
Listen, that might spark my second career in acting. That was a fun time making that commercial.
Hume Lake commercial. Do you remember that, Brandon?
No, I don't.
All right, we'll stop. He's gonna go ahead and get flamed on for that acting performance there.
Well, I know where Brandon's at because he's got a very respectable position now as principal. And is it a Christian school, Brandon?
Yeah, private Christian school here, Touchstone Christian Academy in Las Vegas.
Yeah, and so he's got a reputation to protect now, Danny. I can see him trying. I can see him trying to protect it, and he's got a friend
You're
that's
gonna get a bunch of kids on their phones. Watch.
Yeah.
Right. Can't let the kids know.
That's so funny. It was funny. I was doing the funeral for Frank Thiessen at BCHS, and all the football players were laughing. And of course, David Carr and Darren Carr, your guys' coach, came down and said, "Hey, I'm sorry. These kids were looking your pictures up on the internet, Pastor Tom." And I was like, "Oh, that's..."
We need to put those pictures up.
Yeah, we've done
If I
that.
can look like that at any point in my life, I'll be all right.
We've done.
Those are like
what I strive
R-rated
for.
pictures.
We've done that. So I love it. I love it.
So, Brandon, tell us about a little bit about your walk with God and how that looks in high school, college, thereafter. Your relationship with your wonderful wife, your kids.
I had a really lousy pastor in high school, so that probably didn't help out. No, Tom honestly changed my life just from the way I remember walking through those doors every Sunday, and just the way he treated me and my family. Like we were family from the first time.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, that's different. That's different. I want that. I need that in my life. So thank you, Tom, for just the love that you show me and my family throughout my whole time that I've known you. We've known you. It's been awesome.
I always brag on your grandpa and your dad because if anybody knows your grandpa, Lewis, there's a thing that we have at Bible study. It's called Lewisism, because he always comes in with these genuine just comments about life, and their microphone drops, every one of them.
Right.
And I asked your dad, Chris, was it like that growing up? And he said, kinda. but I don't know what it'd be like to have a warden as a father.
Yeah,
so.
that'd be interesting.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of hard.
mean, I've had him 25 years of my life now, and he always drops some type of line around my.
Yes.
Where does this come from? Like, goodness, man.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, growing up, I had phenomenal parents that just loved me, pointed me in the right way. My dad always taught me how to work hard and do exactly what a dad should do. But when it came to finding who I was in Christ, my real identity, that was kind of like something I found out in high school. Like I explained, I tried to be the cool kid and do whatever. And then I met Jesus, and that just changed everything. It floored me. And so during high school, I was able to kind of get around just great men that I could look up to, that could lead me. Pastor Tom being one of them, Nick Vallajos being another. And then during that time playing football, got close to Derek Carr, and that's been a relationship that's been amazingly fruitful. Just taught me how to submit to authority, and as a man, that's hard. As a man, it's hard to get called out when you're doing something wrong. It's hard when they call your wife and say, "How's your husband being? Is he being a good husband today? Is he being a good dad?"
Derek Carr does that on you, brother?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely. We just got off the phone probably 20 minutes ago, and he's, how are you as a dad? How are you as a husband? Jess, is he doing good? And it's that accountability that's made me just share my faith, stronger my walk, because I know no matter what I do, he's still going to love me, and that love looks a little different sometimes, but he's going to call me out when I'm wrong. But ultimately, I know at the end of the day, he has my back. So it's been really, really cool to have that relationship. Outside of like what he does, football, like that's all cool. It's fun. Whenever we go to dinner or something, people recognize him. That's cool. But the fruit of just submitting to authority, having someone in my life that I know is from God and that I can take advice from, because you don't have that a lot from people in the world. You got to be careful who you listen to, because not everybody has your best interest in mind and what God has for you in mind. So having that's been super awesome. So he got to see me as 16, 17-year-old snotty-nosed kid who thought he knew it all and was the best thing since sliced bread. And a lot's changed since then. I got married. He actually did my wife and I's wedding.
Wow.
So that was really cool.
That's cool.
And then he's got to see me as a dad. We have one little girl and then another on the way. And they're about 5 minutes away from us in Vegas. So we see each other all the time. And so it's really, really cool just to have that relationship. Someone there that no matter what, has just got your back. And we work out every morning together now at 5:30.
Oh, wow.
So that's been fun. Danny, you know what that means.
Oh, yeah.
It's been brutal, but it's been good. Good to get back. I kind of took not off time, but I just kind of toned down the training once football ended to where I was like, whatever. I'm never going to run. I'm just going to get jacked. Like, who cares? Who wants to run? And, but yeah, now we're training like an athlete again. So it's been good.
And I know the way Derek trains, and it's not fun.
Really?
Not at all, Danny.
I know that.
Well,
we had to do some stuff today that I'm like, what is this, man? Like,
well,
we need to figure this out.
well, it's crazy because we're going to have another session for our audience that's listening that's going to go into Muscles Matters, where we're going to talk about that more. I want to dig on that one a little more. Yeah. I want to talk to the Brandon Jones that I used to know, what it's like to get used to it, what it's like to get used to a dad bod.
Right. Dad bod's gone. It's 2023 now. It's out of here.
I know my son-in-law. I saw him eat when he was at my house for Christmas, and I remember I remember when Danny was getting ready for the Air Force Academy, and I remember when we went to Costa Rica, he had 6-packs. So I love you. I love you, young guys now having to struggle with it.
Right.
I'm a dad of reptiles now, so
that's not the same, Danny. Definitely not the same.
Danny, it's okay.
Yeah, you can try watching Just My Boys for a couple hours, and you can tell me if you think it's the same.
Well, Brandon, so I know that you and I've talked a lot about, once you left high school, because you left marks there. Did you actually break Derek Carr's passing record at BCHS?
Yeah, so this is definitely on the record. Every single one of the records he has is no longer a record, if you know what I mean. So I think we'll just leave it at that.
Shattered, might I add.
I always give him a hard time now. I'm like, listen, you may be an NFL 10-year veteran, but you don't have your high school records. I'll tell you that much.
There's a BJ Brandon Jones next to those records.
That's right.
So as you're continuing your life journey, I know college was a big part, and I know that you had some stuff to overcome. Could you share with our audience how that you took something that you loved to do and you went through a transitional phase, going through? Yeah. Tell us how you were able to do that and overcome some of those obstacles.
Yeah, so in high school, played well, really wanted to play Division I football. That was always my dream, and had some smaller schools that offered me, but nothing like I had dreamed about as a kid. And so I ended up going to junior college, which was really hard for me because I had pride. I thought I was the guy. I thought I was. And, I was like, okay, I'll go to junior college for one semester, as short as you can do it. Ended up staying 3 years, which is quite literally the longest you can stay in junior college. I did that. It's funny how God works stuff out.
Right.
But that was a really tough time for me because I had to be honest with myself and say, I'm not good enough at something. I got to work harder. And I kind of took that as a personal weight that I was going to carry to, okay, coaches made excuses and said I was at a smaller school. I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm going to prove every one of them wrong. And I'm just going to work hard. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to stress about it. I'm not going to worry because I know what God has for me. No man can take away from me. And getting to that point in my life was hard. It's easy to say now, but when you're sitting there and you're 18 years old and all your friends are going off to college and you're sitting there like, am I ever going to play football again? And those times where I called Nick Vlahos and other men in my life where I'm like, I'm done, man. Like this is not for me. I'll go work and I'll go do whatever, but this is not for me. And thank God they talked me off the ledge. But I ended up playing junior college for 3 years, like I said, and then ended up getting a scholarship literally at the last moment you could get a scholarship to the University of Texas, El Paso. I got offered like May 20th and then had to be at the school the beginning of June. Ended up going out to El Paso, Texas, which literally, if you guys have ever been to El Paso, it's just.
I've been through there. I didn't want to stop.
Yeah, right. I hear that a lot. Everyone's been through. No one stays there. But it's being there, being able to move away from family. The beginning was hard because my fiance at the time was back in California. And so we had this long, elaborate plan, like we're going to wait time and get married and have a wedding, a big one. And then a couple weeks into it, I called her. I said, what if we just eloped and got married? This is before eloping was a cool thing to do. Now everybody does it. But so I kind of set the trend there, must say. But
Hey,
we ended up getting married, and then she moved out to El Paso as well.
hey, can I dig on this
Sorry,
one real
Tom.
quick? Come and dig on this one because
Yeah.
because Nick Vlahos, we're going to get to watch this, and I remember taking Nick to your Tulare Union football game where you guys did an amazing win, you and Danny and the whole team, and Nick came on the field and he ran into you, and you guys became lifelong friends because he became part of your life and your journey and your youth pastor. But he got a last minute replacement because he was going to do your wedding, right? And
He was.
And Derek Carr came in and was drafted into the wedding spot, and Derek got to do the wedding, right? Because I remember that because I thought I thought it was cool that Nick was such a neat part of your life that he let Derek, which is a very godly man, Derek is, and I just think it was a cool story. I remember your dad telling me a story one time when you were coming through, and you're like, "Hey, can me and a friend spend the night at your house, Dad?" And Chris is like, "Sure." I just didn't know that my son was bringing Derek Carr home to sleep on my couch.
Oh wow!
Yes. In all fairness, I let him sleep in the room. I took the couch.
Oh,
I said, You know
okay.
what? Here you go. He died broken back and stuff. He probably needs it.
Yeah.
But I thought it was cool that you guys did a replacement on the pastor doing your wedding. I'd never heard of that,
Yeah.
but I know Nick stepped away for Derek. How'd that work out?
What do they do in baseball where they tell him, it's your time. You're out of here, man. We called the reliever in. We took Nick
Yeah.
out. And, but I do remember that. It all just worked out. Our wedding ended up being in the Bay Area. Nick took it like a champ. So
Yeah.
That's
Nick.
cool.
Nick's a good man. I had to dig on Nick. Nick, you can put a
Yeah.
comment. You can put a comment at the bottom of this screen, which Mike will delete.
May or may not get deleted. We'll see.
There was a little curveball you threw me when I was checking up on you about a month or so ago. Hey, Brandon, how you doing, man? Hey, man, I'm doing great. Oh, by the way, I'm the principal of a very, very great Christian school. What?
Yes. It's you know the saying where it says God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called.
Yes.
Well, that was me because I was not thinking about it at all.
I will 100% second that.
Right.
I'm just playing. He's an awesome guy. He's a fabulous job.
Thank you. So I ended up, after playing football, was able to coach at UTEP, got my master's degree, and that's where I realized, I said, yeah, coaching might not be for me. It's awesome. I love my coaches, but the time commitment, moving around the country, I knew we wanted to be by family, our community, and just kind of let my kids plant roots and grow there, get in the church that we love, and so on and so forth. But we ended up going back to San Diego area for a couple months, and this opportunity ended up coming open, and needed a master's degree, and I have ministry experience. I've been in ministry the past couple of years, and so literally a whim, and I was like, "There's no way, like I'm gonna get this." There's the principal they had at the time was a doctor, and I'm like, definitely not a doctor. Definitely don't have the experience background in that. But I just knew that I knew this is where I was supposed to be. This is what I was supposed to be doing, and applied, ended up getting an interview, interviewed probably 2 weeks later, then got hired on the spot. And
Awesome.
been going full speed ever since.
Yeah, that job doesn't give you downtime.
No, not at all. I never knew there were so many aspects to a school. Like, don't we just learn? Isn't that it? There's so much to it.
And your phone's probably went off 10 times.
It's just so joyful.
Yeah, your phone's probably went off 10 times
awesome.
with teachers calling in sick and parents calling you saying, "Hey, this happened to my kid today at school," right?
Right.
Since we started recording, it went off that many times.
The calls we get is, it's fun. But that's what I'm there for. I'm there. I love interacting with people, talking to families, and it's so much fun to me. So I get to do it every day.
And we'll pick more about that on Ministry Matters. If you're out there as our guest or watching us, we'll pick Brandon's brain a little more on his new ministry opportunities. Danny, go ahead, brother. I don't want to interrupt you.
Oh, no, you're good. So now, Tiffany, Tom's wife, my mother-in-law, she is a superintendent at a school. And so I know secondhand, not firsthand, she knows firsthand. I know secondhand, I know Tom does too, and the whole family, that it's tough. It is not easy. And just over this break, we were over there and actually got stranded in Bakersfield because of Southwest.
Yes.
She's on her laptop during the winter break. And she's like, and I'm like, "Hey, aren't you on break right now?" She's like, "We don't get a break ever. I never get a break."
Right.
And so I want you to tell us a little bit about the never getting a break. I mean, I was always a kid that made the principal superintendent's life really hard.
Right.
Now you get it in return.
Right. It's everyone takes a teaching job and they're like, we get the summers off, we get it's the whole 9 yards, and definitely don't get the summers off. Found that one out. Working over holidays usually. So it's a little different, but it's so much going on every single day. Literally, we have a calendar, and I told someone today, one of the people we work with, and I'm like, every morning I wake up to 15 emails, and I just have to pray, like, Lord, just don't let today be the day.
Right.
But it's a lot, but it is so much fun. I told my wife all the time, like, everyone always just says you have to work a job, and who cares, provide for your family, whatever. But there's so much joy and fulfillment working where you're called to be. Mm-hmm. And it's not fun all the time. It's not fun every day, every second. But the joy that comes from just loving on these kids, loving on the families, you can literally change generations just from having a school like this. And so, I could go on and on, but it's amazing.
No, I was just going to say, like, Brandon, firsthand from being at BCHS, I mean, the impact that so many men had on, or women, teachers, staff that had on our lives. Thiessen, for example. I mean, he's a great man and just a great guy to be around. So fun and just full of life. And I know he was always a shoulder for everyone to come to in any time of need. Or our football coaches, for example, Perucci, Darren Carr, always just great men to be around. Not to mention all the countless teachers that we had, faculty, friends. And you get to be a part of that, man. You're kind of the metaphorical glue now, and I know there's no one better for the job than you. Man. So I'm so proud of you, man. And I was bragging upon you. I was telling Tom, I was telling my wife. I was so proud of you, man. So
thank you, bro. I appreciate it. Don't brag too much.
Well, you have to, because the hard work that takes people. I'm proud of Danny. I kept telling Danny that. We went through a lot of things at his education, and he saw God come through for him. And it's so cool to know how he's come through you. It's neat to be, I even look at Mike sitting here, and I knew Mike, Brandon, Mike used to play football for me. And so he was an awesome linebacker.
Really?
Yeah, he did. And so I knew Mike when he was 13, almost kicked him out of school.
He did.
But that's okay. And so
we've told that story a few times.
We have. And so I look forward to your career, Brandon, molding everything together that you have basically taken in your life and applied, and now you get to bring it to other kids, and that to me is going to be a impactful thing. To people, there's children that are going to get their lives blessed, that one day if you get a podcast, you'll get to bring in the Jeremy or Jamie that's causing you a problem right now in first grade. And they've turned into a wonderful man of God. I get to have one as my son-in-law, and I get to have you as kind of a surrogate spiritual child. And I really love that. So I do. Brandon, leave us with any comments that maybe you would like to share with our audience just about your life and what you've learned and how you've overcome.
Yeah. If one thing I've learned over my life is that, and it sounds so cliche, and everyone says it, but to just trust what God has for you. Don't look at what's around you. Don't look at what the situation looks like. If God said it, you better believe it, because that promise is as good as done. So,
wow, that ministers to me.
It does. Me too. I need to hear that today.
Yeah. Give your all. Give whatever you can. Work as hard as you can. But at the end of the day, He's going to take care of you.
I love it.
Amen.
Awesome.
I love it.
Danny, can I close this out with a question, Brandon?
Yes.
Please do.
Did Derek give you the okay to bust out the ruler on his kids?
Listen, the first day, they have to call me Mr. Jones. They have to call me Mr. Jones now, which for their whole life, they've called me Brandon. But he said, if they ever act up, you know what to do. Yeah, I know.
That's awesome.
Honestly, they're the best kids. Like he's a great dad. They're awesome. They're in check. So I just mess around with them every day.
I love
no
that.
doubt.
That's sweet.
Danny, why don't you close us up and last comments from you?
Yeah. Brandon, thank you so much for joining us today, man. I really appreciate it. You're an inspiration to me, and I know you're an inspiration to so many others. And I'm so happy you get to share your story. And I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, how, 25 years old, man, a principal. That's incredible. And you know what?
Congratulations.
I'm going to give all the glory to God. And that's amazing, man. And you should be so happy and so proud of yourself. And man, I'm just so happy to see where the Lord's taking you. And man, God bless you. God bless your family, your wonderful wife, your children, man. So happy for you.
Thank you. Yes. Thankful for you all. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, absolutely.
Thanks for being here.
To invite me. So I really appreciate it. The work that you've all had in my life has been amazing. So thank you. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart and my family's, you guys just took a little kid who didn't really know about us and now he's my everything. So thank you. Seriously.
I love it.
Awesome.
Okay, we're signing off from our lunch break show. Mike, thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Danny.
Yes.
Everyone watching, have a great day. God bless.